Hey YouTube, I want to make a video today about my 91 Ford Ranger 3-liter V6. I've seen several videos out there where people are doing this on the 3 liters, but not on this specific truck and model with this bracket. And I say that because if the guys had that bracket that were making them videos, I think they would make a point to talk about it, because it is a pain in the ass to get off if you don't know how to get it off. And I ran into that not knowing how to get it off and just had to figure it out. But the problem is it bolts to like 4 spots on the motor, being the motor mount right here, that bolt, and then 2 more bolts in the back, 2 bolts right here and 2 bolts right here. And the problem is not all these bolts on the side or that one, it's that these studs are in holding the timing cover on, and then this bracket, these bolts, bolt holes, go over that. So you can't take it off because this thing is behind there, the nut. How in the hell are you supposed to pull it off? You can't. So you try to figure out what to do. You go Google it, YouTube it, and can't find nothing. So I said, well, I'll jack the motor up. So after 30 minutes, an hour playing and jacking the motor and tilting it over on its side, got my kids out here holding a 2x4 against this manifold, pushing it over some, and finally was able to pull that bracket up a little bit over that stud there. Once I swung that over, I was able to pull it straight out over those studs and then get that booger out of there. And man, it was a pain. You know, I don't mind working on vehicles. I actually enjoy it. And you know, once I got to that point, yeah, I had to take everything off. So if you got this truck, this model with that bracket, it's going to be the easiest to just take everything out where you have plenty of room to work, which in my case, I was replacing the timing chain, the water pump, the fan clutch, and radiator, because I figured I was already getting in it, that I would just go ahead and change it. My timing cover wasn't leaking, but my fan was dry rotted, my radiator was leaking. You know, I drove it for 3 years actually with it leaking. I just popped the radiator cap where it wouldn't build up pressure, and it done fine, just kept a check on the water. But I figured it was time. I had a long weekend, a holiday weekend, figured I'd hop into it, not knowing about them 2 studs, because you couldn't get this off until you got that bracket off and pulled those studs. So I kind of hit a roadblock there, but I got it off, and I wanted to make a video to let folks know that, so when they start researching, they won't run into that problem like I did. And I went ahead and put a speedy sleeve on my harmonic balancer because I had a little indention there. Put a new seal on my timing cover. Went ahead and I got the gasket on the back here, done that last night, cleaned it real good, and put just a little bit of sealer on there, and put a flat piece of material over the top of that, and threw a couple boxes of nails on it to flatten it out so it'll be good and flat. Did the same thing to my water pump, so I ain't got to be worrying with the gasket sliding around and all that. Got all my bolts in my water pump where they go, so I don't lose track. This harmonic balancer, I see a lot of guys out there just making a mess of their balancer. It's just as easy as this. Get you a little puller like this, Harbor Freight, 10 bucks. You put it on there, get both the bolts lined up, and then this piece right here goes right in between there and sits right on your crank. And then all you do, it's just as easy as twisting this little bolt, and it'll pull it right off. You ain't gonna break nothing, not gonna tear anything up, and don't force it. I seen one guy on YouTube that freaking bent this thing. Man, how in the hell do you bend that? He must have put it up on the edge of the balancer, and then all he was doing was working against himself. It'll start coming off easy. You do not have to force it. You just twist that and it will gradually come off easy. If you're having to torque on it, you got something messed up. Something ain't right. You ain't got this puller sitting in there right. And I see a lot of people, they'll put the bolt back in there. Don't do that. This will fit over your little your crank. You've got a big surface there. It's indented. It's got like an indentation, so that flat piece right here is not going to damage anything. That's why it's recessed. so you're good to go. Just do it like that and you ain't gonna have any problems. This little truck, I'm doing all this because I don't, for one, it's 25 years old. It's a really good truck, runs good. Come to find out, when I bought the truck, I'll give you some history on it. It had 89,000 miles. I deliver for a living, and I was down some country road where nobody'd ever be at, down a mile driveway delivering some stuff, and seen this under a carport. Asked the lady, you know, would she sell it to me, and she said yeah, and she wanted $1,200 for it. Well, long story short, I jewed her down to $8,000. And it's a clean little truck, runs good, everything works, nothing is broken. This is the worst side, the other side looks better. But anyways, you know, I've done little repairs to it, a new master cylinder, 20 bucks, little things like that, normal wear and tear things, but it's all original, nothing's been messed with on it. AC works, everything works on it, which I put a new compressor on it and dryer, changed it over to the new stuff. But about 2 months in, I look in the glove box and I find this. And the man that owned it, he drove it for about, after this, I went back and talked to the lady more, and she told me a little more history on it. He lived about 10, 15 miles away from work, and he drove it to work every day. Well, he kept a detailed log of everything that he did to this vehicle. I mean, it's page after page, up until I got it, I think around 70-something thousand miles, because that's when he passed. But I was like, man, this truck only has 89,000 miles on it. And then I was like, wow. So that's why I'm taking the time to really do some good work on it and put all this new stuff in it. And everything I'm changing here is 25 years old. And it, you know, the water pump was the only thing that was leaking in the radiator, but after 25 years, what do you expect? So, you know, just take your time, and you can do it. You know, I'm gonna put some gasket sealer around here where it's pitted and stuff. I'm gonna make sure you put sealant, Teflon sealant, they say needs to go in here, in these spots. I'm just gonna put some RTV and seal it up real good, and make sure that I seal these jackets real good to where no water gets into my system. And when you're taking your cover off, make sure you don't tear this gasket. That will save you. Loosen a couple bolts underneath here to where your pan, this will go down just a little bit. And when you go to put it back on, just put a little RTV here and there. I'm not even gonna put any there because it wasn't leaking, and this gasket is still pliable. I don't think it will. And if I do, I'll put a small little bead out here on the outside edge is all I'll do. And then also, when you put your balancer back on, make sure that you put some RTV back here, right back here. You want to put some RTV so you ain't got no oil coming out of there. I put a speedy sleeve on here. I don't know if I said that in the video or not, but if I repeated myself, oh well. There's my new radiator. But anyway, guys, I can't think of nothing else. Torque specs, just look them up online. I think this is 50 inch-pounds. I think these big holes are like 18 to 20 foot-pounds. And then the little bitty bolts that go, you'll see them on the little bitty ones. These, I want to say they're 89 inch-pounds. These are 18 to 20 foot-pounds. Do them in sequence. Do them, spread your pattern out. I'm gonna put a little bit of RTV on this. Seal up some of that pitting. I really don't care if that leaks. The main thing is I don't want it to leak, this to leak into my oil. So that's the main thing. I don't care if the water leaks on the outside of the motor. I just don't want it leaking on the inside. You know, and let's see. Got a little block of wood around here somewhere. To put this seal in, I just put a little block of wood up there like that and tapped it in real even, went in just easy peasy. I mean, you couldn't have. Same thing with this over here. I put a block of wood on there and just tapped it right in the center real easy. And like I said again, don't force it. All this stuff, if you're having to force something, you ain't doing it right. It's like my dad always said, if you're having to force it, you ain't doing it right. I hate to say it, but the old man was correct. There's my old rotten fan. The thing was dry rotted, original. Clutch is still working, but hell, for $25, I'll go ahead and change it. But all right, guys, I hope this helps you guys out. Hope the video wasn't too long and I wasn't rambling. I've only made a couple videos, so, but still, I hope this helps somebody out. That bracket's kind of a bitch, but just take your time. Take a piece off at a time and set it on a table. One piece at a time and you'll get it. Just take your time. All right, thanks for watching.